Hi, this is Brian with Rush Intel Services, and today we're going to be talking about a quick, easy how to become a process server. Basically, this information is out there to help people who want to get their process serving license. It is a good job. We always felt that it was a very good job, also for people who are Uber drivers or out on the road a lot, Lyft drivers, things of that nature, because if you're driving, and we mostly do a lot of work in Los Angeles County, but if you're doing work within any major city in the United States, it could be a beneficial tool for you to do pick up side work through attorneys or even through the general public of serving small claims, a series of other things. But it is a very lucrative industry if you know what you're doing. There are a lot of rules that you do need to be familiar with. Protocol, different laws in reference to process serving throughout the country. Different states have different laws. Certain paperwork requires that you must serve to an individual. Some allows you to have subserve. For instance, in California, you're allowed to subserve on the first attempt to, let's say you're serving a individual and they're married and they're not home. However, their spouse is home. With small claims, you're allowed to serve the spouse on the first attempt. However, with larger cases, more like with summons and stuff from major law firms or attorneys, you have to have 3 attempts prior to subserving, meaning you have to have gone to that address 3 different times at 3 different days before you're allowed to subserve, let's say, a spouse, or if you're serving a business. Same thing applies. You have to attempt 3 times before subservice. Other things like subpoenas require that you only serve that individual, and they will not accept subservice. So I'll get more into that in depth in another segment. But today this is just a quick how-to on how to become a process server in California. So first thing that's important is qualifications. You must be a resident of the state for at least 1 year. This is for independent contractors. So as a process server, you can either become a process server as an independent contractor, much like a roofer or anything, a general contractor, anything of that nature. You could also set up a corporation for process servers where others work underneath your corporation and your license number. Either way, that requires that the corporation either have been established for at least 1 year, or if it's for an individual, if you're an independent contractor, then you must be a resident of the state for at least 1 year. Also, a second important note: you must check your background. And when I mean check your background, you are not allowed to have any felony convictions before applying to become a process server. Now, if you do have a felony conviction, that's not necessarily the end. There are some options. You can have a judge of the county review your file to maybe see if you're able to work as a process server. You might be able to have your record expunged or a certificate of rehabilitation. It's not an end-all be-all. If you do have a felony, it does hurt your chances, though. Second qualification is you must be at least 18 years old. And so that's pretty much with any kind of court paperwork or document, you must be at least 18 years old. If you're just planning on serving a few documents, like if you're serving, let's say, a small claims for somebody, you don't need a process serving license per se. In the state of California, you're allowed to serve up to 10 court documents throughout the year without having a process serving license. However, if you pass that 10th service, then the attorney or anybody from the other side can basically what's called quash your service, basically saying your service was illegitimate and possibly have that case thrown out of court. So it is important to get your process serving license. If you plan on just doing this even on the side, I think it's worth the investment in time. It's not that hard to get the license set up. So if you plan on doing anything more than a few, I would recommend that you get your license before you even approach that 10 mark. Secondly, sometimes attorneys will try to have some of their staff get process serving licenses. This is actually not recommended because as a process server, you can't be party to the case, meaning you can't be involved in the case. And if you're an attorney using a process server that's not an independent contractor hired, you're basically using your own employees, this can create a problem because they are part of the suit, as it benefits them to use their own employees. So we've seen that happen a few times where services get quashed because of attorneys doing this. So just to get back to it, so now once you decided to get your registration, your license, process serving license in the state of California, mind you, every state has different laws. Some require more larger bonds. Some require that there's insurance involved. Some don't even have process serving license. Depends on the state. So this is a California guide, but you definitely want to go check with your county registrar or your county clerk's office on what your state regulations may be on gaining a process serving license. This basically is geared towards people in California. So now that you decided to get a process serving license, first thing you got to do is you got to get 2 headshot photos, basically like passport photos. You can get these at any print shop, usually UPS stores. A second requirement is that you have to have what's called a live scan, and I'll get more into that too, but most places that do a live scan also do passport photos. So basically, like, let's say I was in San Diego somewhere and I wanted to get my process serving license, I would basically Google live scan offices near me. At that point, you're going to see a series of different places that will pop up near you. There are live scans in most major cities. Basically, what's going to happen is when you go in, they will digitally fingerprint you and see if there's any kind of background issues that they have. You have possibly like criminal history or other issues which may bar you from getting a process serving license. So usually 99% of those locations that offer live scan also offer passport photos. So that way you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I would call, before you go to the live scan location, I would ask, hey, do you guys do passport photos as well? If they do, then you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So for part 1, you must obtain 2 headshot photos as you would with a passport. And second requirement is that you have a valid government-issued picture identification, established birth certificate or a driver's license or a passport, something showing a photo ID of you that is a government-issued document, basically stating, hey, yes, my name is so-and-so, here's a picture, or here's my government ID showing the person that it is indeed you that is applying for the process serving license. So once again, I stated you have to get a live scan as well. So you have your passport photos, live scan, possess a valid government-issued picture identification. And the third part is a little tricky, but it's not that hard, is you have to get a bond for $2,000. Now, in state of California, a process serving license is good for 2 years. But you have to have a bond for the amount of $2,000 for yourself as an individual for the process serving license. Now here the trick is that you have to schedule an appointment, especially here, we're in Los Angeles, with the county registrar's office in Norwalk. You have to schedule an appointment to get your process serving license. Not all counties are the same, but you should contact your county that you're in. I would Google county registrar or county clerk's office in your county. Call them up, say, hey, I'd like to get a process serving license. Does this require an appointment? If so, when you're getting your bond, you want your bond to start at the same day that appointment is. Because that day, when you go in with your passport photos, your government-issued photo ID, and they'll have you do an application there. Once you do all these 3 things, they're going to ask if you have a bond. You want that bond to start on that day that the first day you're going to get that ID. They're going to give you a temporary, well, here in Los Angeles, they give you a temporary ID when you show up and fill out all the paperwork. If everything's correct, then you'll get a temporary ID. So you need that bond to start on that day. So You could Google bonds for process serving. There are ones that issue them online. It's fairly easy and painless. It can often be anywhere from between $50 and $75 for a $2,000 bond. At that point, once that you know your day that you're going to go in to see the county register, you have your photo ID, you have your 2 passport photos, your live scan's already been done. Sometimes live scan professionals will ask where you want this live scan report to be sent. You would say to the county clerk's office for process serving. So basically, after the DOJ does your background check, they're going to send a copy of that to the county registrar's office. Also, you want to bring a copy of that live scan paperwork with you to your appointment for your process serving license. So that's basically about it. Once all that's concluded, you're going to have to pay registration fees. Now, every county is different. Every state is different. Let me see. In the state of California, usually it's $182. Plus, they have a $10 replacement card if you ever lose your identification card. And it's $3 for every additional page of the bond. It's not that much. Trust me, if you get to 2 or 3 jobs, will literally pay for this in itself. And as I stated, the license is good for 2 years. You can get contact with many different companies that do process serving. I would literally just Google process serving companies near me, and you can contact any one of them. If you're looking for a side part-time job, tell them, hey, I'm a registered process server. I have a license. I don't know if you ever work for me. I live in this area. And maybe contact 5, 6, 10 of them. And, if you're looking for some side part-time work, I think it's a great idea. If you're an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, it's a great idea. If you want to start your own company doing process serving and, legal services, that's also another good idea for that too. So, we hope you come visit our site. If you ever need or have any other further questions, you can give us a call, 626-385-8662. You may also want to just Google these search options and just say, how to become a process server in my local area. We'll put some links in there for you too. All right, thank you.